Hello you guys, it's Ruthie with the Fiddler Scroll, where I talk about the things that are worrying me, because I'm coming to realise I'm not a particularly original person, and if something's worrying me, there's probably at least a variety of it that's worrying someone else, and hopefully talking about it will make you feel a little bit less alone, because a lot of you guys you know, you're my friends and you live in different countries, and I can't be there with you, and that makes me sad. So this is really why I've started this. It's because I love you, and I wish I could be there, and I wish I could go for a picnic with you, or we could go to an art gallery, or we could make a posy together, or bake, or watch a nice movie, but we can't, because I was going to say you live too far away, but actually I guess maybe I live too far away. It's not necessarily your fault, is it? Just kidding, you guys. I'm just teasing. I wish we did live closer. Anyway, this is going to be a slightly difficult podcast for me to film, actually, because one of you sent me a message, and I just want to preface this ahead of time by saying that you don't need to worry, because I'm really discreet. I will never mention your name or anything, but you know who you are. And more than that, it seems to be a little bit of a theme that I'm noticing in the messages and letters I get from my friends, that some of you are really struggling out there. And I think I know why, because I'm struggling too. And this is why I'm not going to enjoy this podcast, because you guys, I grew up in New Zealand, and even though I've never been to Great Britain, I actually had a very British upbringing. So I don't really like talking about emotions, and I don't really like talking about what's worrying me. I mean, I'm interested when my friends are worried about something, but I don't really like talking about things that worry me. But I think sometimes we must, because there's a lot of loneliness in the world, and the worst kind of loneliness of all is when you're surrounded by people and you feel like no one is dealing with what you're dealing with. So today I'm going to be talking about the fact that a lot of people are scared in the world. And when people get scared, sometimes they look for scapegoats. They look for people to blame. And some of you are feeling that you are those scapegoats. And you would be correct in that. So, yeah, I mean, the thing is, you guys, because I'm making this for my friends, right? Although whoever finds it, I hope it's a source of comfort. It's not a performance. So I have to talk about it from the lens of the stage of life I'm at. So just remember, this isn't specific to the issue I'm talking about. It's just that that's the issue that I'm learning about, this struggle with. And the struggle that I am currently having, and I know quite a few of you are having it as well, is the sense of sometimes when God gives you a load, and then the people around you, because they're scared, and they haven't learnt to go to God and get their strength from Him, so what they do is they project their fear onto you, and they sort of make you a scapegoat. I think this is particularly bad if you are a agreeable temperament, and you're not really inclined to scream and yell and carry on. I know that most of my friends are creative, artistic types, and although we can get very wound up about injustice, let's be honest, you guys, we love harmony and we love peace. And sometimes that means that when someone wants to have like a little emotional release, sometimes we're the ones that cop it, because we seem safe. And yeah. So anyway, today I'm going to talk, the first thing I'm going to read is Psalm 46, because this is a psalm that really comforts me when I'm struggling, and I'm hoping maybe it will comfort you as well. So anyway, this is Psalm 46, God the refuge of his people. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth should change, and though the mountains slip into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains quake at its swelling pride. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy dwelling places of the Most High. God is in the midst of her, she shall not be moved. God will help her when the morning dawns. The nations made an uproar, the kingdoms tottered. He raised his voice, the earth melted. The Lord of hosts is with us, the God of Jacob is our stronghold. Come, behold the works of the Lord, who has wrought desolations in the earth. He makes wars to cease from the ends of the earth. He breaks the bow and cuts the spear in two. He burns the chariots with fire. Cease striving and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our stronghold. And today I want to talk about how God is our stronghold, and we must hold on to that even when we are the ones being blamed for all the problems that other people are dealing with. So you guys, a current theme that I keep tumbling across on the internet is the inevitable downfall of Western civilization, which I feel like that would be depressing enough. But then what is the worst thing about this subject topic is they have to find a reason for it, and they come up with all sorts of reasons. And one of their favourite reasons is actually women who have not got married in their 20s and therefore have not produced children, and therefore we are going to be doomed because we're going extinct. And then they proceed to make the most hateful statements about women who have not found someone early and, or worst of all, like myself, are still single. And they say that people like myself and my friends are greatly contributing to the downfall of civilization. And then they say, and they seem to be very confident that they know exactly why people today are not getting married. And by the way, I'm not trying to exclude men from this conversation, because I know you guys, they say horrible things about men as well. But, well, I think it's probably the algorithm. Currently, it knows I'm a woman, although I have confused it in the past. There was a time I got really interested in military history, and it started to think I was a man. I know that because it started to suggest I might like to buy tractors, and what other things was it suggesting to me? All manner of very strange things, because it thought I was a man. So maybe what I need to do is try and work out how to trick my algorithm into thinking I'm a man, and then I'll know what horrible things they're saying about men. But currently it seems to know I'm a woman, so it keeps dishing up these awful things, and sometimes I don't even realize I'm going to watch something that is awful until I'm watching it. So this is the thing, you guys, I know you men have got problems too. Like, I don't mean like you've got problems. I mean people are being nasty about you as well, like very nasty, but because currently my algorithm realizes I'm a woman, I'm not exactly sure what horrible things they're saying about men, but this does apply. This applies to anyone at all. This applies to you whether you're man or woman or single or married or young or old, or you have children or you don't have children. When people get scared, they look for someone to blame. And sometimes we cop it, even though we don't deserve it. And I can really only talk with great confidence from my experience, but I'm hoping my experience has enough similarities to other people's experiences that you can sort of see something helpful in what I've dug out of the Bible, because this is my source of comfort, you guys, and I keep coming back to the Bible because it's really the only thing that calms me down. So anyway, they're going on, right, about how people like me have contributed to the downfall of Western civilization because we didn't get married early enough, and now we won't be able to have children, even if someone even wants to marry us, and which they consider very doubtful because they're very, very certain that, well, I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but I can tell you that I am well past the window, because they say there's a window that men want women, and then after that, woman can just forget it. Anyway, and then I could probably bear up under this, but I can't bear up under it because some of my friends are writing to me about it, and I can't stand it. I can't stand, like, you know, it's one thing to be kind of suffering yourself. You're like, oh, it's fine, it builds character. But when you see other people suffering, like, that's a bit different. That's when I have to sort of override the New Zealand inclination to not talk about emotions and personal things and say, you know what, I don't care how ridiculous I look. I don't care how many insults it might open me up to. I'm going to do this because I don't think it's something people should feel alone in, and I'm not seeing an alternative explanation on the internet. So I hope this is of comfort to anyone who finds it. Because sometimes, you guys, there can be something going on, and I'll show you in the Bible, there's a really good story about this, and people look at it and they come to the most uncharitable conclusion. And the uncharitable conclusion they're coming to with women like myself is that in our youth, we didn't care about men, and we didn't care about children, and we were just totally selfish, and then we just decided to pursue big, powerful careers. Frankly, that's depressing too, because that just means that I'm like, oh, so I should have a big, powerful career as well. This is quite alarming because I don't, but, you know, I have my things I do, but I'm not a big success. Anyway, that's the story they tell, that, you know, women like myself are old and past our prime and no longer attractive and probably couldn't have children even if some man was foolish enough to marry us. And they say it's because they prioritised careers and now they'll be sorry. Well, I have looked and I have looked for an alternative story on the internet, and I have not found it. And because I had not found it, and I know this is not true of so many of my friends, I shall now tell you the reason I am not married with a whole lot of children, because it is very different from the mainstream narrative about people such as myself, and I suspect a lot of you in this position, you also are in this position because of different reasons. And I think it's high time that at least one voice said, no, you're not completely correct to those voices, and this is actually what's going on. So the story that inevitably gets told about women in my position is that we were very selfish and we were very career focused, and we did not care enough about the family unit to find someone to marry when we were young and people wanted us. And then they say, oh, it's so much easier to get married in their early 20s, but they don't bother. And then they get old and they're sad and they're sorry, and they realise the chance has passed. So I'm now going to tell you what happened to me in my early 20s, because I hope it will be of comfort to someone out there. Now, it is true that I did have opportunity to get married in my early 20s, more than once. However, I have always had a very, very deep connection to God, and I believe that God can speak. And I think if you're asking him for guidance and you're diligently reading the Bible, he actually has quite a big opinion on the way you live your life. Some people think this is overly spiritual. To them I say, it is my life, and I am allowed to take the risks I wish to take. And the risk I chose to take in my early 20s is I decided that I was going to put God in charge of who I married. So when I got the chance to get married, and there were a couple of options, I went to God about it. And they were nice options, but I went to God about it. And I prayed and I fasted, and God told me no. And I obeyed him. And Then what happened is I got a bit older and I had another option. And I think a story that is regularly told about women in my position is that we are very greedy and we are only concerned with money, and that we don't get married young because we don't think the man has the power to bring in enough money. That was certainly never the case with me. I was only interested in the will of God. When I got a bit older, I did actually meet someone, another opportunity to get married, and that man was actually very, very rich, but he did not believe in God. And you guys, can you imagine? That would not work. Can you imagine me married to someone who didn't believe in God? It just would not work. I can't think of anything that would work less. So I walked away from that. And I bring this up because I am very pro-marriage and I'm very pro-family and I love children. I write books for children. I think children are gorgeous. But I made a decision in my youth that I was going to have the man God chose for me, or I was going to have no man. And yes, people said I was over-spiritualizing it. And I thought, you know what? It's my choice. And if I want to spend my life seeking after God's guidance, I'm allowed to. And I did. And now it's quite interesting because you hear these voices on the internet and they say, and now these women are old and they look back at these men they could have married in their youth and these men are all married, true. And then they say, and now they're sorry and they have regrets. It's like, no, I do not have regrets. And of course those men are married. They were very nice men. And in addition to that, I'm not saying this is 100% what did it, but it wouldn't have hurt. I prayed those men would find beautiful women to marry. I prayed those men would have beautiful families. And they do. And that's another thing. People go on like it's the worst thing ever for a woman to get to an advanced age. I should be like, is it Lizzie Bennett who won't say, because she says, no, she won't say what her age is. Well, I'm not going to either. But I shall say that by the standards of many, it is advanced. And, no, I don't regret that those men married other women. I'm so happy they got beautiful families and they're happily married and their children are gorgeous and you know, I don't know why people think that old unmarried women think everything's about them, and I would just sit around saying, oh, I wish I'd married that man. Now someone else married him. Of course I don't. There is a beautiful marriage that exists. And there are beautiful children in existence as a direct result of me obeying the voice of God and not marrying someone that he told me not to marry. I do not regret that. I think that's wonderful. I think that's beautiful. And whether I find someone or not is not the issue, because I have got what I went after. I have found a connection to God. And I am very happy with this. And realistically, women actually do get married a little bit older these days, and it's not entirely possible. It's not entirely impossible that someone might marry me one day. And also, women have children older, so it's not entirely impossible that God will withhold children from me either. But if he does, I'm fine with that, because when I was young, I chose God. And I have not turned aside from that decision. And another chance did come along a little bit later. And actually, the man was extremely successful and very rich, and it was a big compliment. But he did not believe in God. And you guys, God is my best friend. So it doesn't matter how beautiful a man's house is. If my best friend isn't going to be comfortable in that house, it's no good me getting married to that man and moving in, because that will just be no fun for anyone. So that is why I am single, and I put it out there because I'm tired of hearing these confident voices just at best treat an older unmarried woman like a joke, or at worst say that we are completely selfish, and sometimes they go so far as to say we hate men, which is Of course I don't hate men. Why would I hate men? Men are humans. I mean, I suppose there are some hateful men, but there are some very hateful women too. I do not hate people based on that. I mean, and I don't think that in a single woman in my life, they don't either. So I don't think that's fair, and I don't think it's true. And anyway, I hope that's of some comfort. And you guys, I know that I'm opining a bit on this marriage issue, but that's because it's the stage of life I'm at. I also know that people can be very unkind when people have health problems and they say things like, oh, it's just your diet, as though that helps anything when the person's facing a terrifying diagnosis. So the point here, you guys, is the Bible gets it. The Bible really gets it. And I'm now going to read you a story about someone who absolutely was walking with God, and she got it in the neck too. And I think this will be of some comfort to you. I hope so. So I'm in the book of Samuel, the first book of Samuel. This is also a good place for jolly good stories if you're in the mood. And I'm in chapter 1. And this is dedicated to anyone who is just pottering through life, being a source of light and kindness, at any stage, whether you are married or, because that's the thing too, they say some horrible things about married people, or young or old, because let's face it, you guys, there are a lot of mean mouths on the internet. Actually, there are a lot of mean mouths in the world, and they all have something to say. So this is a story about someone who underwent that, and how God honoured her and what she had to say about it. First book of Samuel, chapter 1. Now there was a certain man from Ramian Zophim. Oh, I bet I said that wrong. That's very early to be mispronouncing things. Oh well. From the hill country of Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah, the son of Jehoram, the son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Zuph, an Ephraimite. I think I might just I might just need to skip names and moving forward. As I have said, this is why you need to open the book for yourself. And he had 2 wives. The name of one was Hannah, and the name of the other was Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. Now this man would go up from his city yearly to worship and sacrifice to the Lord of hosts in Shiloh. And the 2 sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were priests to the Lord there. And when the day came that Elkanah sacrificed, he would give portions to Peninnah his wife, and to all her sons and her daughters. But to Hannah he would give a double portion, for he loved Hannah. But the Lord had closed her womb. Notice that, the Lord had closed her womb. And that's, to me, of great comfort, because a womb can be closed for many reasons. And yeah, the Bible's pretty clear who closes the womb, you guys, and it's the Lord. So if someone's having a go at you for not having children for whatever reason, pass on the judgment, because it is the Lord who closes the womb. And the womb could be closed for numerous reasons. In my case, it is because I am very old school, and I can assure you I will not be having children with our husband. And every year that goes by, it looks less and less likely I'll be having them. But that's all right, because the Lord is my portion. Yes, but to Hannah he would give a double portion, for he loved Hannah, but the Lord had closed her womb. Her rival, however, would provoke her bitterly to irritate her, because the Lord had closed her womb. And it happened year after year. As often as she went up to the house of the Lord, she would provoke her, so she would weep and not eat. And Elkanah, her husband, said to her, Hannah, why do you weep, and why do you not eat, and why is your heart sad? Am I not better to you than 10 sons? That's another thing that happens, you guys. Generally speaking, when you're going through something hard, there are 2 kinds of people that cause pain. There are the Peninnahs who get in there with a knife. They're the absolute worst. But then you have the Elkanahs, and they mean well. They're just such beautiful people, and they mean so well, and they try and help you. And they're like, oh, but you should consider this. You have freedom. You have this. You should enjoy, and they're really beautiful people, and you can't really get angry at them. But, Peninnah will put the knife in and Elkanah will pop the salt in. I guess the salt kind of sterilizes the wound though, so yeah, he's a nice guy. It's a thing, you guys. Then Hannah arose after eating and drinking in Shiloh. Now Eli the priest was sitting on the seat by the doorpost of the temple of the Lord, and she, greatly distressed, prayed to the Lord and wept bitterly. And she made a vow and said, O Lord of hosts, if thou wilt indeed look on the affliction of thy maidservant, and remember me, and not forget thy maidservant, but will give thy maidservant a son, then I will give him to the Lord all the days of his life, and a razor shall never come on his head. Now it came about, as she continued praying before the Lord, that Eli was watching her mouth. As for Hannah, she was speaking in her heart, only her lips were moving, but her voice was not heard. So Eli thought she was drunk. Then Eli said to her, How long will you make yourself drunk? Put away your wine from you. But Hannah answered and said, Not so, my lord, I am a woman oppressed in spirit. I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but I have poured out my soul before the Lord. Do not consider your maidservant as a worthless woman, for I have spoken until now out of my great concern and provocation. Then Eli answered and said, Go in peace, and may the God of Israel grant your petition that you have asked of him. See, that's another thing. There are a lot of Elis on the internet, and I don't think they mean to be hateful about older unmarried women. I actually think they're probably quite nice people, but they're looking at the evidence and they're coming to the conclusion. In some cases, the conclusion is wrong. So you're going to always have your Peninnah who's going to really stick the knife in, and you'll have your Elkanah who's trying to be helpful but still kind of hurtful, and then you will have your Eli who will straight up get his finger out and point at you and say, Oh, you dreadful sinner, this is all your fault. Why don't you do better? But it's okay, you guys. As long as we're pouring out our heart to God, it's okay. It's going to come out good in the end. And they arose early in the morning. Oh, yes. Then Eli answered and said, Go in peace, and may the God of Israel grant your petition that you have asked of him. And she said, Let your maidservant find favor in your sight. So the woman went her way and ate, and her face was no longer sad. So that's what happens when you go to God. It gives you peace. Then they arose early in the morning and worshipped before the Lord, and returned again to their house in Ramah. And Elkanah had relations with Hannah his wife, and the Lord remembered her. And it came about in due time that Hannah had conceived, and she gave birth to a son, and she named him Samuel, saying, Because I asked the Lord for him. Then the man Elkanah went up with all his household to offer the Lord the yearly sacrifice and pay his vow. But Hannah did not go up, for she said to her husband, I will not go up until the child is weaned. Then I will bring him, and he may appear before the Lord and stay there forever. And Elkanah her husband said to her, Do what seems best to you. Remain until you have weaned him, only may the Lord confirm his word. So the woman remained and nursed her son until she had weaned him. Now when she had weaned him, she took him up with her, and a 3-year-old bull, and 1 ephah of flour, and a jug of wine, and brought him to the house of the Lord in Shiloh, though the child was young. Then they slaughtered the bull and brought the boy to Eli, and she said, O my Lord, as your soul lives, my Lord, I am the woman who stood here beside you, praying to the Lord. For this boy I prayed, and the Lord has given me my petition, which I have asked of him. So I have also dedicated him to the Lord. As long as he lives, he shall be dedicated to the Lord. And he worshipped the Lord there. And then Hannah prays the most beautiful prayer. Then Hannah prayed and said, My heart exults in the Lord. My horn is exalted in the Lord. My mouth speaks boldly against my enemies, because I rejoice in thy salvation. There is no one holy like the Lord. Indeed, there is no one besides thee, nor is there any rock like our God. Boast no more so very proudly. Do not let arrogance come out of your mouth, for the Lord is a God of knowledge, and with him actions are bowed. The bows of the mighty are shattered, but the feeble gird on strength. Excuse me, this always gets me a bit tearful, this bit. But the feeble gird on strength. Those who are full hire themselves out for bread, but those who are hungry cease to hunger. Even the barren gives birth to 7, but she who has many children languishes. The Lord kills and makes alive. He brings down to Sheol and raises up. The Lord makes poor and rich. He brings low. He also exalts. He raises the poor from the dust. He lifts the needy from the ash heap, to make them sit with nobles and inherit a seat of honor. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and he sets the world on them. He keeps the feet of his godly ones, but the wicked ones are silenced in darkness. For not by might shall a man prevail. Those who contend with the Lord shall be shattered. Against them he will thunder in the heavens. The Lord will judge the ends of the earth, and he will give strength to his king, and will exalt the horn of his anointed. Then Elkanah went to his home at Ramah, but the boy ministered to the Lord before Eli the priest. And if you continue to read on that story, you find out that Samuel goes on to be a prophet and has a great deal to do with another character by the name of King David. So it just shows, doesn't it, that sometimes when you're going through stuff, yes, there will be people who point the finger and judge, but God is our help and God is our strength, and we can go to God. And even if people are pointing the finger and saying, you're in this situation because you did this and this and this, and it's all your fault, and they might provoke us and they might make us cry, it's all right, because we can go to God, and God is our salvation. And this leads on to another story. We're now going to go into Kings, and we're going to return to the story I talked about a while ago, about Hezekiah, the righteous king, and how he got very oppressed by a king from a neighboring land, I should say. Sometimes the Bible repeats itself, and the reason for this is it fleshes it out, so you get a little bit more information. So we're returning to the story of Sennacherib, who tries to invade Israel when Hezekiah's in charge, and there's another character in here called Rabshakeh, who works for Sennacherib. And this gives us more insight into how this enemy of Israel was trying to fill the people of Israel with fear, and how Hezekiah dealt with it. Because you guys, it doesn't matter what stage of life you're at. If you are seeking to connect to God and walk in his ways, there will always be a Rabshakeh, and there will always be a Peninnah, and there will always be someone who's there trying to get you off track, because it's very threatening to the other side. I believe there are two realms to the spiritual world. I don't wish to get into what the other side is. I just know it's there. And I think anyone who observes the world with any sort of spiritual sensitivity is aware it is there. And I can assure you that the other side does not like it when we put our trust in the Lord. It doesn't like it at all. And it will go to a great deal of effort to turn us. So we are now in 2 Kings, in the middle of chapter 18. It's really worth reading the whole thing, but you guys, I don't want this to be too long, so I'll just start in the middle. So we're talking about Hezekiah. Remember, Hezekiah did a lot of righteous things. He pulled down the Asherah poles and the alternative places of worship, and he really started restoring the land to God. So this is that story again, but it's a variation on it. Now, in the 14th year of King Hezekiah, Sennacherib, recognize him, Sennacherib, king of Assyria, came up against all the fortified cities of Judah and seized them. Then Hezekiah, king of Judah, sent to the king of Assyria, that's Sennacherib, in Lachish, saying, I have done wrong, withdraw from me, whatever you impose upon me, I will bear. So the king of Assyria required of Hezekiah, king of Judah, 3,000 talents of silver and 30 talents of gold. And Hezekiah gave him all the silver that was found in the house of the Lord and in the treasuries of the king's house. At that time, Hezekiah cut off the gold from the doors of the temple of the Lord and from the doorposts which Hezekiah, the king of Judah, had overlaid, and gave it to the king of Assyria. Just a little aside, you guys, this is exactly what happens when you try to placate a narcissist. It doesn't work. It just teaches them that being a bully works. So that's just like a little personal aside. This Sennacherib, in my opinion, he's a narcissist, and he's a really bad egg, and he's like making trouble, and Hezekiah's like, look, whatever you want, just name your price, just go away. And he's like, well, I want lots and lots of gold and silver. And Hezekiah's like, okay, fine. And he even goes and gets it from the temple, because he's probably just trying to preserve the peace of his country. But Sennacherib is a narcissist, and it does not work. Then the king of Assyria, that's Sennacherib, sent Tartan and Rabsaris and Rabshakeh from Lachish to King Hezekiah with a large army to Jerusalem. So they went up and came to Jerusalem. And when they went up, they came and stood by the conduit of the upper pool, which is on the highway in the fuller's field. Then they called to the king Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, who was over the household, and Shebna, the scribe, and Joah, the son of Asaph, the recorder, came out to them. Then Rabshakeh said to them, Say now to Hezekiah, Thus saith the great king, the king of Assyria, What is this confidence that you have? You say, but they are only empty words, I have counsel and strength of war. Now on whom do you rely that you have rebelled against me? Now behold, you rely on the staff of this crushed reed, even on Egypt, on which if a man leans, it will go through his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to all who rely on him. Here's where it gets interesting, you guys. But if you say to me, We trust in the Lord our God, is it not he whose high places and whose altars Hezekiah has taken away and said to Judah and Jerusalem, You shall worship before the altar in Jerusalem? Remember in a previous episode I explained that that Sennacherib got confused because he saw Hezekiah pulling down all of the altars and things, and he's like, God of Israel won't like that because less altars mean less worship. But actually Hezekiah was obeying the Jewish law, which that's what's going on. So it's the same story, but it's from a different angle. And we're now dealing with his second in charge. So we trust in the Lord our God. Is it not he whose high places and whose altars Hezekiah has taken away, and who has said to Judah and Jerusalem, You shall worship before the altar in Jerusalem? Now therefore, come, make a bargain with my master, the king of Assyria, and I will give you 2,000 horses, if you are able for your part to set riders on them. How then can you repulse one official of the least of my master's servants, and rely on Egypt for chariots and for horsemen? Have I now come up without the Lord's approval against this place to destroy it? The Lord said to me, Go up against this land and destroy it. That's a lie. That's a big lie. Another thing with narcissists, they're big liars. And the Bible's full of narcissists, by the way. There's another reason it's a really good thing to read this book. It'll give you an overview of human nature, and some of it's quite nasty. Then Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, and Shebna and Joah said to Rabshakeh, Speak now to your servants in Aramaic, for we understand it, and do not speak to us in Judean, in the hearing of these people who are on the wall. But Rabshakeh said to them, Has my master sent me only to your master and to you to speak these words, and not to the men who sit on these walls, doomed to eat their own dung and drink their own urine with you? See, this is bringing down morale. He's basically saying, we're going to win, and you're going to starve, and you're going to be so hungry, you're going to be, he just said what you're going to be eating. It's really psychological warfare. Then Rabshakeh stood and cried with a loud voice in Judean, saying, Hear the word of the great king, the king of Assyria. Thus says the king, Do not let Hezekiah deceive you, for he will not be able to deliver you from my hand. Nor let Hezekiah make you trust in the Lord, saying, The Lord shall surely deliver us, and this city shall not be given to the hand of the king of Assyria. Do not listen to Hezekiah, for thus saith the king of Assyria, Make your peace with me, and come out to me, and eat each of his own vine, and each of his fig tree, and drink each from the waters of his own cistern, until I come and take you away to a land that is like your own, a land of grain and new wine, and a land of bread and vineyards, and a land of olive trees and honey, that you may live and not die. Ye fat chance, considering he was supposed to go away when he was given all that gold and silver. But do not listen to Hezekiah when he misleads you, saying, The Lord will deliver us. A lot of people saying that these days, you guys. A lot of people saying there are things that are just done and you can forget about deliverance. Well, it's a lie. The Lord will deliver us. Has any one of the gods of the nations delivered his land from the hand of the king of Assyria? Where are the gods of Hamath and Arpad? Where are the gods of Sepharim, Hena, and Iva. I will be saying that wrong. Again, you should look it up for yourself. Have they delivered Samaria out of my hand? Who among the gods of the lands have delivered their land from my hand, that the Lord should deliver Jerusalem from my hand? But the people were silent and answered him not a word, for the king's commandment was, do not answer him. Also an excellent way of dealing with a narcissist, you guys. Just don't engage. Don't engage. When you're dealing with a person that's evil, don't engage. Then Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, who was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and Joah the son of Asaph the recorder, came to Hezekiah with their clothes torn and told him the words of Rabshakeh. Anyway, now we're moving into 2 Kings, chapter 19. And when King Hezekiah heard it, he tore his clothes and covered himself with sackcloth and entered the house of the Lord. Then he sent Eliakim, who was over the household of Shebna the scribe, and the elders of the priests, covered with sackcloth, to Isaiah the prophet, the son of Amos. And they said to him, thus says Hezekiah, this day is a day of distress, rebuke, and rejection. For the children have come to birth, and there is no strength to deliver. Perhaps the Lord your God will hear all the words of Rabshakeh, whom his master the king of Assyria has sent to reproach the living God, and will rebuke the words which the Lord your God has heard. Therefore offer a prayer for the remnant that is left. So the servants of King Hezekiah came to Isaiah, and Isaiah said to them, thus you shall say to your master, thus says the Lord, do not be afraid because of the words that you have heard, with which the servants of the king of Assyria have blasphemed me. Behold, I will put a spirit in him, so that he will hear a rumor and return to his own land, and I will make him fall by the sword in his own land. Then Rabshakeh returned and found the king of Assyria fighting against Libnah, for he had heard that the king had left Lachish. Then he heard them say concerning Tahara, king of Cush, behold, he has sent out to fight against you. He sent messages against Hezekiah, saying, thus so you say to Hezekiah, king of Judah, do not let your God in whom you trust deceive you, saying, Jerusalem will not be given to the hand of the king of Assyria. Behold, you have heard what the kings of Assyria have done to all the lands, destroyed them completely. So will you be spared? Yeah, this guy's really not getting it, is he? He's kind of doubling down on the fact that the God of Israel is really is no different from all the little tin pot idols of the surrounding lands. And, he's not worried. He's not worried at all because he's confident. He's confident. This is the other thing with narcissists, or we might as well just say wicked people. They get confident, but they do eventually get their comeuppance. So will you be spared? Did the gods of those nations which my fathers destroyed deliver them? Even Gozan and Haran and word I cannot say, and the sons of Eden who were in another word I cannot say. Where is the king of Hamath and the king of Arpad, the king of the city of another word I cannot say, of Hena and Iva? Sorry. Then Hezekiah took the letter from the hand of the messengers and read it. And he went up to the house of the Lord and spread it out before the Lord. See, he's doing what Hannah did, you guys. He's going to the Lord with his problem. And Hezekiah prayed before the Lord and said, O Lord, the God of Israel, who art enthroned above the cherubim, thou art the God, thou alone of all the kingdoms of the earth. Thou hast made heaven and earth. Incline thy ear, O Lord, and hear. Open thy eyes, O Lord, and see. Listen to the words of Sennacherib, which he has sent to reproach the living God. Truly, O Lord, the kings of Assyria have devastated the nations and their lands and cast their gods into the fire. For they were not gods, but the work of men's hand, wood and stone. So they have destroyed them. And now, O Lord our God, I pray, deliver us from his hand, and that all the kingdoms of earth shall know that thou alone, O God, O Lord, art God. Then Isaiah the son of Amos sent to Hezekiah, saying, Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, because you have prayed to me about Sennacherib, king of Assyria, I have heard you. This is the word the Lord has spoken against him. She has despised you, mocked you, the virgin daughter of Zion. She has shaken her head behind you, the daughter of Jerusalem. Whom have you reproached and blasphemed? And against whom have you raised your voice and haughtily lifted your eyes? Against the Holy One of Israel. Through your messengers you have reproached the Lord, and you have said, with my many chariots I come up to the heights of the mountains, to the remotest parts of Lebanon, and I will cut down its tall cedars and its choice cypresses. And I have entered its farthest lodging place, its thicket forest. I dug wells and drank foreign waters, and with the soles of my feet I dried up all the rivers of Egypt. Have you not heard? Long ago I did it. From ancient times I planned it. Now I have brought it to pass, that you should turn fortified cities into ruinous heaps. Before their inhabitants were short of strength, they were dismayed and put to shame. They were as the vegetation of the field, and as the green herb, as grass on the housetops is scorched before it is grown up. But I know you're sitting down, and you're going out, and you're coming in, and you're raging against me, because of your raging against me, and because of your arrogance has come to my ears. Therefore I will put a hook in your nose and bridle your lips, and I will bring you back by the way that you have come. Then this shall be a sign for you. This is right. So that's what he's saying to that beastly king. And now I think he's talking to Israel. Then this shall be, the kingdom of Judah. Then this shall be a sign for you. You shall eat this year what grows itself, in the second year what springs forth from the same, and in the third year sow, reap, plant vineyards, and eat their fruit. And the surviving remnant of the house of Judah shall again take root downward and bear fruit upwards. For out of Jerusalem shall go forth a remnant, and out of Mount Zion survivors. The zeal of the Lord shall perform this. Thus saith the Lord. Therefore, thus says the Lord concerning the king of Assyria, he shall no more come to the city or shoot an arrow there, neither shall he come before it with a shield, nor throw up a mound against it. By the way that he came, by the same he shall return. He shall not come to the city, declares the Lord. For I will defend the city to save it for my own sake, and for my servant David's sake. And then it happened that night that the angel of the Lord went out and struck down 185,000 in the camp of the Syrians. When the men arose early in the morning, behold, all of them were dead. So Sennacherib, king of Assyria, departed and returned home and lived in Nineveh. And it came about that while he was worshipping in the house of Nisroch, his god, that Adramelech and Sharezer killed him with the sword, and they escaped to the land of Ararat. And Esarhaddon, his son, became king in his place. Guys, it doesn't matter what we're facing. God is our help, and God is our strength. And it doesn't matter who comes along and says, you trusted in the Lord, well, that won't work. And they come up with their little judgments, and they come up with their little stories they want to tell. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, whether they're saying it from a good place, like that priest who got confused, or they're saying it from a downright evil place, like this utter narcissist Sennacherib, who was just completely untrustworthy on every front. Doesn't matter. Wherever the story that you can't rely on God, and it's all going to be gloom and doom, and if you trust him, you'll miss the boat. Wherever that story is coming from, whether it comes from a person with pure intention or a wicked person, it is a lie. It is God who helps us. It is God who strengthens us, and it is God that we must rely on. At the end of the day, you guys, I don't know where my life's going. I don't know what opportunities will or won't come. But I made a decision in my youth that I was going to prioritize the will of God above everything. And you guys, that is ultimately what gives me peace with the decisions I made in the past. So I don't know what you're facing, but if you are facing them with God, you don't need to fear the outcome, because whatever the outcome is, God's in it. And that's what ultimately makes it all right. So I hope this has been of some comfort to you, but more than that, I hope you open the good book for yourself, because you'll probably be able to pronounce all those words I can't. And more than that, just like we can't tune a fiddle without a scroll, we need the Bible to tune the soul. Thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.